Not only is this a major recruiting win, but by having Max Granville reclassify, you are getting a head start on the development of a future star player for future Penn State defenses.
You are Locked On Nittany Lions, your daily podcast on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is Locked On Nittany Lions. My name is Zach Seyko, and thanks so much for making us your first listen and watch every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Today's show is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Massive news for Penn State football as four-star edge defender Max Granville has enrolled early, reclassifying from 2025 into the 2024 cycle, and he will be a member of the Penn State football team this season. So you don't have to wait for him to go through his senior season of high school. He is going to be with Penn State at the start of training camp and will be a member of the team. I already had an instant reaction to this, talking about just the general overview, and that's what we're going to go through here. What does this move mean for Penn State football and Max Granville himself? Granville is a four-star edge defender out of the state of Texas, has drawn comparisons. When we talked to Locked On Sooners host John about this, and John said he reminds him a lot of Micah Parsons, and Granville was very close to committing to Oklahoma. So you are getting an impact type of player and somebody that is being asked to enroll early. Penn State is asking Granville to enroll early, and Granville is accepting the challenge. Because as you can see, this doesn't happen very often. This isn't something that is done pretty consistently by Penn State or a lot of other programs for that matter. It takes a very unique type of prospect to be able to forego a senior season, a year of high school, to enroll early. So I talked about how this season is going to be a learning curve for Granville, that he's probably not going to see the football field much, if at all, because this essentially acts as his early enrollment period, because he's missed winter workouts, he missed spring football, but that's because he was going into a senior season of high school football. So now you essentially get a head start on the development for 2025, and someone that's just incapable of putting on the weight. He's going to get in the weight room. He's going to work with Deion Barnes and the defensive coaching staff rather than going through that final senior season of high school. So you're getting somebody now that is capable of the challenge, but has the intangibles. He's got good bloodlines. Billy Granville, his father, played in the NFL for the Cincinnati Bengals as a linebacker. So there's a history, there's a tradition for Granville to make this kind of move. I don't think he has anything left to prove at the high school level. So that's why he's making this decision and why Penn State would ask him to make this kind of decision. Let's go back to the Micah Parsons comparison. His film, immediately, it jumps out just what kind of presence he is as a pass rusher. Very talented, very good at block shedding. I would say he's a little undersized right now, but again, he's 17 years old and was getting ready to play his final season of high school and is now going into college football. He needs the time to add 25, 30 pounds of weight. Micah Parsons, that is a lofty comparison to make. But primarily as an edge defender, resetting the line of scrimmage, rushing the passer, it's the versatility. He's going to project most likely as a defensive end, but I can sit here confidently and say he will factor into the conversation when the number 11 jersey becomes available again. Abdul Carter will move on. Granville will certainly be in that discussion by the Penn State coaching staff. And enrolling early gets you a head start above everybody else. I talked about the class of 2025 and how there's not only Granville, but Jaden Woods, Deshaun Burnett, LeVar Arrington II. There's a lot of these players, and Cortez Harris as well. There's a lot of these players that just fit this hybrid role of they can be a pure pass rusher, put their hand in the dirt, play defensive end, and go after the quarterback, or they can be that stand-up pass rusher, off-ball linebacker, what Micah Parsons did, what Abdul Carter did, and starting to follow this line of and continue the tradition of wearing number 11. Granville gets a head start on that. This is a win-win for everybody because you get a head start on the development of a potential impact player for years to come. This is his early enrollment. So he gets a head start above everybody else in the class of 2025 and should definitely contend for snaps in the following season. So enrolling early in January, you're enrolling early in July, in August of 2024, ahead of everybody else. But when you have Abdul Carter potentially moving on, Deni Dennis Sutton, Amin Vanover, Zariah Fisher. I don't even need to mention the interior of the defensive line. I'm naming a bunch of guys that are from the defensive line that are pass rushers that could potentially move on after this season. And then what about linebacker? Kobe King, Tyler Elsdon, Dom DeLuca. There is going to be so much turnover for the 2025 defense that they need an impact player, a familiar face now. And it's no disrespect to Tony Rojas, who still needs to prove to us what he can do, or a Tamir Robinson, or a Keon Wiley, but these are guys that just haven't done it yet. Jameel Lyons has a lot of potential too at that defensive end spot, but there is so much turnover that you just need somebody else, somebody that is high caliber, high potential to go along with those names so that you can essentially just increase your odds of having a player, multiple players, to build an impact defense for years to come. They didn't ask anybody else to do this. Granville had to check a lot of boxes just to be able to even consider this decision when Penn State obviously approached him and asked him to do this. And that's why it's a big deal, because they're not just asking anybody to enroll early like this and skip a senior season. They wanted him now, and he has the capabilities to add that 25, 30 pounds of weight, almost be positionless. Okay, I think he can wear the number 11 in the future once Abdul Carter eventually moves on, that Granville can be in that conversation, but so can any of those other names. Cortez Harris wore it in his recruitment photographs when he was at Penn State for his official visit. Jaden Woods is moving back to linebacker as well and just increasing his availability. Nobody is boxed into, well, they have to be a defensive end. Well, they have to be a linebacker. They have to play a specific position. Penn State just continues to recruit players that are just disruptive on defense, and they will fit into whichever spot that they need to go in at the end of the day. Penn State isn't just recruiting defensive ends. They're not just recruiting linebackers. They are recruiting guys who can play football above all else and just be pure playmakers. Still to come on this bonus episode of Locked On Nittany Lions, this is a big deal for recruiting. What does this mean? Why is this a huge victory? I'll tell you in just a moment here. And today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. You got to download the Gametime app because buying tickets to your favorite events should not be stressful. And it's summertime, and I love going to Major League Baseball games. And Gametime, as the authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, helps you get tickets faster and easier to these games. And get this, prices on the Gametime app actually go down as it gets closer to first pitch. You get last minute deals. You can save up to 60% off buying not only tickets, last minute tickets to Major League Baseball games, but all of sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. You also get exclusive flash deals, zone deals within the app. You get all in pricing, so there's no surprise fees at checkout. You know what the price is up front, and probably the best feature is the seat views. Panoramic views of the seats, so especially if you've never been to a venue or an arena before, you can see your point of view ahead of time, so there's no second guessing. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to its peak performance. From superchargers to roof racks, exhaust kits to LED headlights and more, whether you are into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car into that MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. That is ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. The other part of this is the recruiting side of it. Not that Max Granville was flaky or considering Oklahoma or Texas A&M, but until Penn State made its final push to get a commitment from Granville, Oklahoma's very close to landing his commitment. He's from the state of Texas. Texas A&M wasn't going to stop recruiting him by any stretch of the imagination. So Penn State locks it in. There is no re-recruiting. There's no checking in. He is all in on Penn State. So a player that is outside of the state of Pennsylvania that was very close to committing to Oklahoma once upon a time is now fully on board because he is enrolled. He is officially enrolled at Penn State and will be a part of the team as a freshman for the 2024 campaign. You don't have to worry about Oklahoma. You don't have to worry about Texas A&M, who were definitely significantly in the mix for Granville. All that conversation is put to rest. And you're allowed to do this because you have so many other capable defenders in the class of 2025 as well. Jaden Woods, Cortez Harris, LeVar Arrington II, Deshaun Burnett, all of these guys that could be a defensive end. They could be they're just edge defenders. They could be a defensive end. They could be a linebacker. And that allows you the flexibility to make a move like this and allow Granville to move to the class of 2025, which is already as strong as it is. And now you just add, you're moving up somebody else. At the end of the day, you don't lose a commitment anywhere. You just happen to bring them in a season earlier. So that is why it is significant for Penn State recruiting. This move is smart. It's strategic. If everything goes well with Granville's development, he's able to add that weight. He gets acclimated to the speed of college football. He can definitely contend for starting reps in just one season's time. Again, this is his early enrollment, and he's getting an extended early enrollment. So there is no reason to say and believe that Granville could definitely, and I think he will be, a starter at somewhere, defensive end, linebacker, whatever that is, in the 2025 season. That's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Nittany Lions. Appreciate you checking out the show. Be a part of the conversation. What do you think about Penn State and Max Granville's move? If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like on it, share it with friends and family, and if you're not already, become an everydayer. Subscribe to Locked On Nittany Lions on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts for more conversations about Penn State football, Penn State recruiting, and so much more.